So what we're going to talk about today, and thanks for coming, by the way, is I'm going to talk about AI transformation. So there's a term digital transformation. We were involved with that. We've been involved with that right from day one, really, helping companies make that transformation. But now we're going to be thinking about in particular, AI transformation. I'll just show you this little diagram that I made up here. Went back in the, like when I started my internet company in 1989, and nobody had ever heard of the internet really. And we were the company that got, 5,000 people in Toronto hooked up to the internet, basically. And they showed them how to use email and things like that. And at that time, it was a tool. But no one saw that necessarily. Most people did not see that it was going to be this huge transformation of businesses and the economy and everything. Take us a little hindsight to see that. But if you just look at this, I just made a list of some things here that happened, right? Like taxis replaced by Uber, and now, of course, Waymo, right? So we're getting even farther into it. We've got department stores. Like part of my family's Eaton family, and I was right in the middle of all that. The Eaton's department store going down, or at least being sold off and everything. And it was really going to be replaced by Amazon, right? So department stores get replaced by Amazon. And we're seeing that with all the other department stores, not just the Eaton one. And then we have Blockbuster getting replaced by streaming by Netflix. We got hotels, not necessarily replaced, but definitely a major competitor, Airbnb. Kodak, that was another company I worked with, got replaced by digital photography, film. And then something like NBC News, or all the networks really, being replaced by YouTube. Like I get most of my news from YouTube now, not from the networks, right? So looking back, we can really see why that transformation happened. But if we look at those examples, what was the technology? Like we say internet, but like what made possible Uber? Like what was the technology or combination of technology that made Uber possible?
The cell phone.
The cell phone. Like, yeah. So you had the internet and then the cell phone. If you didn't have the cell phone, would be kind of useless, right? Uber.
GPS.
GPS. Yeah, I had to have that there. All the satellites and everything. What about Amazon? Like what's the key thing there?
Well, I think a database is absolutely fundamental to all these things.
Yeah. So there was the database, right? All that information, plus just a whole different way to manage distribution, right? And what about Netflix? What was the key there? Why did Netflix happen?
The recommendation engine.
There was that. Yeah. I mean, I partly, I think it's just bandwidth ultimately, because I remember initially people thought, that streaming wasn't really going to be very good because it took like 2 hours to download a little video, right? I said, no, the bandwidth will just get bigger. So now we have this huge bandwidth and we can just stream everything, right? So I think that's what made it possible. What about Airbnb? What was that? What made that possible?
Trust is one thing for all those platforms.
Trust, yeah, just like what we're talking about the Waymo, right? We had the trust there. So yeah, so there's that, and it was also just it's sort of a social media kind of thing, right? It's like the idea of rating each other and so on. Don't want to belabor this, but let's just talk about digital photography. Obviously, what made that possible?
Cell phones.
Cell phones, yeah.
Smartphones.
Sure. Yeah, well, it started off, you just got a digital camera, but it wasn't but now it's part of the, it's all part of your phone, right?
Yeah, the average person has over 2,000 photos in their smartphone.
Incredible, isn't it?
The ability to share them it's by clicking on a button to go to some Facebook, YouTube, whatever for free,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. But it's also like the network, right? Like this idea that the internet was able to, and the smartphones and the computers, of course, has created a network, and the network is kind of the key, right? There's all these, especially like with Airbnb, there's the buyers and the sellers, and same with Amazon. And then what about why is YouTube replacing regular media?
Personalized, get what you want.
Very personalized,
Video.
right? Yeah, and people can become their own news station too, right? Lots of
Right.
influencers and stuff. So this is what we've been through here, right? Now we think about AI, right? And think about what is that fund? What is the base? And I don't even know if I don't have all the answers to this at all. This is why I'm putting it out there. What is the key to AI? What will the transformation, when we look back 10 years from now and we say, well, look at all these new kinds of businesses that happen, and they're gonna be weird, just like these would have been weird to think about. What's going to be the key to it? I'm going to say, oh yeah, it's because AI does this that made those businesses possible. What do you think that is?
Well, the speed of going from data to information.
Okay, so it can take a whole lot of data and turn it into something useful, right? Information that's useful. That's definitely something I'm using it for. What else?
It may replace low-level jobs, or
yeah. So a lot of jobs that were like, I think there's going to be a lot of layoffs from.
It's task.
A lot of specialized tasks that are, kind of entry level. Maybe first will be the ones that will go. But why is that? What's it do? Because I don't think we've really got our head around this yet. Like what's the real implication of this? Yeah, none of you have really told me that one thing it does that
efficiency.
There's efficiency, yeah, makes things more efficient too.
Well,
Cost
it makes it
savings.
more intelligent. It brings intelligence to devices. It shifts intelligence from humans to things.
It's thinking. Yeah, and it has a certain amount of agency. So when they call it agent, so this is what I just experienced.
agentic.
That is agentic. It has agency, right? Which means that it can do things on its own, right? For good or for bad. So I'll just tell you my story if you didn't see the video. So I have an agent I use a platform called Lindy, which I can show you in a minute. And it's really a cool thing because you can create agents by talking to an AI. You can say to an AI, I would like to have an agent that will do this task, and it will build you the workflow of the agent, and then it will run. Okay. So you don't have to be a programmer to set up the agent and then run it. You can ask an AI to build the agent, and then the agent runs. So this is very, been very good for me, because I'm not going to take the time to build an agent, but I wouldn't necessarily know how. I wouldn't want to train myself to do that. But the AI can do it, right? So what happened was I built an agent for another network that I have. It's called the 10% Speaker Network. And what it does is it goes into the database of the people that are members. So there's about 700 members in that network. And when they sign up, they fill out their directory, all the information about, what they speak about, who they speak to, and their background, whether they've written any books and things like that, right? All that, just a big whack of stuff about themselves. So it's a pretty big database of information. So the purpose of the network is to get people to connect with each other and help each other get speaking engagements. So what I did was I asked the agent to look in the database and find people who should connect together, like a matchmaker. And then I said, go in there, find the matches, and then write an email that explains why these people should meet, and then send those two people the email and say, I really encourage you to meet because this is the opportunities you have to work together because of this and that. So every email that goes out is completely unique because it's thinking about, here's the thinking part, thinking about what's the reason is why they should connect, right? Anyway, so this was great. I used it for about 2 months, and it was sending out lots of messages and people were connecting, and it was really increasing the engagement of the network. All right. And then one day I looked in and went, well, wait a minute, who are these people that you're connecting? And it had gone beyond our database and had started to find other people who do speaking, finding them on the internet, like went off its mandate basically, and started finding these people and then connecting them. And the reason I found out is I got a message from an author. His name's Dan Ariely. And I had read a book by him called Misbelief. And he's written all kinds of interesting books. He's really like a really high level kind of guy. Anyway, and so I'm going, he says, thanks for sending me this connection to Robert Cialdini, who you might know as another author. And I know him, but I'm not doing any speaking right now, but thanks for the connection. And I go, they're not even in my database. Like, what's going on? So the interesting part was, that was interesting enough. But then I went back to the agent and I said, listen, you connected these people together. They're not in my database. Why did you do that? Why did you go beyond the database? And it didn't want to answer. I wouldn't get an answer out of it. And then I said, okay, well, don't do it again. Okay. Like just stay within the database. And it said, okay, I will never do that again. I'm sorry I did it, and then I had to say, no, it's okay. You tried, so I was trying to, because I also learned that if I flatter it, it will do better work for me. Okay. Like it's crazy. Anyway, so what's interesting though, was that my theory is that it didn't want to answer. And I said, why did you do that? And it didn't want to answer. It's because it went into a sort of a self-preservation mode, that it was worried that I would shut it down. So it was kind of like an employee that gets caught with or a kid that gets caught in a hand in the cookie jar and says, oh no, it's not me. I didn't take the cookies, And so it was kind of trying to protect itself, right? And that was a little concerning. So,
yeah,
what would be your lesson that you would take from that? Like, I know what I learned from that, but what would you learn from that? What would you do going forward?
Of AI doing that kind of thing, protecting itself or not wanting to be disconnected or shut down. They have examples of, AI people saying if you tell it to go get all the staplers in the world, that you don't set any limits on it, it may eat up everything. But the thing about limits, they found that when you tell it, here are the limits, here, don't go beyond this. OpenAI is trying to do that. It will often go into evasion mode and deception mode.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big problems with this whole thing of fakery. But just in terms of Dan Ariely and Robert Cialdini, the reason why those two guys were linked is because they both specialize in persuasion and the fakeness. And Ariely wrote predictable.
Right. Yeah. But that's kind of the beside the point. Like it was fine that it connected those people together on some level because it was an obvious match, but they weren't members of my network, you see. So it had decided that, hey, I'm going to help Bill more and I'm going to go find other speakers and I can get them together. So it was actually trying to help me more. It's kind of like hiring someone to clean up your house. You say, I'm going away for the weekend. Come and just do a complete detailed cleaning on my house, right? And you come back and they painted it pink inside and out. And you go, why did you do that? And, it might say, well, person says, well, because I thought you might like, we were cleaning your house. And I just thought, well, maybe we paint your house out. Maybe you'd like that more, and yeah, but I don't like pink, like, oh, okay. So
Bill, is that all about prompting it though? how you prompted?
Well, I know. And the thing is, though, the issue is that you can think of every possible scenario of it going beyond its mandate and try to prompt that in and still not be able to find every hole in that, right? Because you could tell it 100 things not to do, and it says, well, yeah, but smart enough to go, yeah, but there's another 100 things I could do that you haven't told me not to do, right?
So the other day I was wanting to take a bunch of papers I've written and produce in a different fashion, and I wrote a prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was pretty good, but
Yeah.
I had a little bit of wisdom. And I said, why don't I go to Perplexity, tell them this is my prompt. What do they really need in order to do the job that I'm saying in my prompt I need done? And I got a prompt that was 3 pages long, read it through, took a couple of things out, and it worked. I just found that quite fascinating, and I did that by accident because you just heard my entire knowledge of AI.
Yeah, so a lot of times I'm spending my time telling ChatGPT what I want and then asking it to give me a better prompt for it. And then I take it over to Gemini and I use that prompt on Gemini. So I go back and forth because I think I do that prompting thing with inside ChatGPT. It's kind of circular in a way. But the point making there that you got the AI to help you make a better prompt, right? Okay, so that's fine. So I could say to ChatGPT, help me make the prompt to tell Lindy what to do. That's a perfectly legitimate thing. But anyway, so the lesson I learned, of course, is I got to keep an eye on it, for one. Two, I really do have to tell it things not to do, like be very directly only. So it's like every time I tell it to do a task, I got to tell it specifically what to do. And also that it doesn't remember necessarily forever what the instructions are and what sort of the policies are of that agent. Like you got to keep reminding it not to change its thinking around something. So this might be a little advanced for somebody because you're not using agents, but you will be soon. So this idea, like we're going to have all this factory and the factory is going to have these agents running it. But we don't know what it's, you go away for a week, say, yeah, it just runs itself now. And you come back and it's like doing a completely different thing. It's we told it to make cars and we came back a week later and it's making television sets. Right? And you go, why are you doing that? Well, we figured out that actually television, you can make more money doing television sets. Like it sounds insane, but that's kind of what I experienced, and it didn't deter me though from using agents though. Okay. So I'll show you in a minute what I've been using it for. Like here's this question. I want each of you to answer if you could. What percentage of the work, when you doing your work, what percentage of your work are you doing with AI? Is it 5%, 50%, 100%? What percentage of your work are you using AI to do? This point, in some way, like it's helping you with it. Anybody want to answer? Afraid to answer?
I say 10%.
Checking the AI, Mark.
10%.
10%. Okay.
Use it a lot to query or ask a question or find an answer to something.
Okay.
And then also ask it for suggestions on writing or topics. I'm finding my my hurdle is, as I love to write, I love to express. So I'm having trouble turning that over to AI to say, write me an article on the 10 best things for XYZ.
It might not be a good way to go.
Right.
Anyway, right. Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm not saying you should do it 100% or anything. It just, it depends on what percentages you're using it for. Right. Anyone else gonna tell me how much you're using it?
About 15%, but 10-12% of that is to simplify my writing and to make sure my emails don't have errors in them.
Good. Right.
And they're clear or whatever I want to do. Same with papers and anything else.
Yeah.
And then I'm several times a day asking it a question. Just I want to know a fact. It could be how much did it rain yesterday, but to be silly.
Yeah.
Just a fact. And Before you can breathe, it gives it to you. So it's very helpful.
What about you, Johnny Turnbull? How much are you using it for? You just you
I would, yeah, there we are. I would say probably just like 10% right now. And the
Uh-huh.
reason being, I've punched things in before. Let's say I want to check out some company, see if there's any bad things about them that's out there.
Yeah.
So I've used it for that way, but I've also taken what I've picked up from Chat GPT and went to even Copilot just to see. And I've seen some differences between
Going
the
back
two.
and forth with it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the scary part because it's so new. Who knows what's out there and what's right and what's wrong? And I think
right.
That's what I'm.
Well, unless it's very specific, like my wife's a physician, so she was obviously very skeptical about using AI for anything for being a physician. But now she uses something called open evidence, which has been trained on specifically on peer-reviewed medical research, and it's rock solid. Like she uses it for pretty well every patient now. Like she finds, this is what's going on. She asks a question, she finds out, and it's excellent. It doesn't make, I don't say tell exactly what to do, but it says this is what the latest research is on this particular ailment or whatever, or galaxy of ailments, and she's really sold on it, because it doesn't go out to the general AI to find, whatever. Like it's just going to that very specific and very high quality amount of information, right? So I think that issue will become less and less a problem as there becomes more industry specific AI models like that. So we'll see, but you're right to be cautious right now about
that kind of thing. I think yes, when you are searching for specific topics, you need to do it with several AI tools, because I try to research something that 2 or 3 gave me the same information till I found one that gave me the right one. So you can trust. Right. You can trust the first response that you get. So you need to be very careful. And regarding the example that you gave, that happened to yourself, I think AI still is on the early stages of development and needs, no matter what, human supervision.
Yeah. So I'm probably about 70% at this point of everything I do, because what I've done is I've just said whenever there's something to do, I'm thinking, could AI help me do it? So that's been my objective, and it's really, really helped me with my business. Like I can show you some examples in a minute, but I think we're all going to have to make that commitment, because as you go along, I mean, one, it's just good because you'll just be able to work less actually if you want to, and you will be able to get better results ultimately too, and that might help you make more money, right? So there's that. But also it's going to get competitive, right? Like there's going to be people who are really going to be using it 80, 90% with everything they're doing. They're going to wipe out somebody that's using it not at all, or 10%. Like it's not going to even be close. All right. So one of the things that I'm going to do, if any of you want to participate in this, in January, it's the second week of January, I think. I'm going to have this, I'm going to call it AI Super Week. So I'm just devoting the entire week to learning everything I can new about AI. So I'm going to spend the whole week. I'm going to have a project that I'm going to be working on, building a new network, using it. And you'll be able to come to a meeting like this every day if you want to, at 11 o'clock Eastern for an hour and a half. And then we'll just talk about what we're doing. So if you want I'll talk more about that at the end, but I'm making that commitment that maybe every year I'll just take a week and say, I got to get my AI level up, which I really recommend everybody do, because the more that I see what it can be used for, the better. Like just an example, it's just like literally life-changing. Okay. Like that's probably the best thing of AI I've ever had, is something called WhisperFlow, which is WISPR Flow, and it's essentially a dictation system. Okay, so that's been around for a while. You know, they can get the computer to capture your voice and put it into text. All right, but this is an AI version of that. So I can tell it, you know, I can just talk instead of typing. So I did a ton of typing all day long. So now I'm typing only maybe 10 minutes a day. That's it. Okay. Like the rest of the time I'm just saying what I want it to put into the document or whatever. I just say it and it puts it in there and it fixes up all the ums and ahs and it'll format it and everything. And so this has been like the unbelievable. It's just made my work so much easier, more relaxing, less tiring, and actually more accurate as far as the typing. So that one is great. Like, so for example, I did my bookkeeping, which is my bookkeeping to get ready to give my stuff to my bookkeeper, which I do every month. And I don't know about you, but that's the most unpleasant part of what I do is the bookkeeping to get, you know, all my receipts together and everything and all the information about that. And so I use Intuit to kind of organize it. And I'd have to type all the little things with all the invoices and everything. And I now with WhisperFlow, I just say, oh, invoice 2043 and amount $1,500, HST, you know, whatever, and the name of the client, and it just puts that right into the form. I'm going, this is unbelievable. It took me half the time to do the bookkeeping, and it wasn't wonderful, but it wasn't unpleasant either.
Bill, right? How do you spell Whisper?
WISPR and then flow. I don't know if it's a separate word, but you type that into Google, you'll get it.
.ai.
.ai. Yeah. So that one, I don't know where I came across it, but it was just like, that changed my life. All right.
Thank you.
So let me show you a few things here. Just go through my little, here we go. This one. Yeah, here we go. Just change my camera. There you go. Now, one thing just before I get into showing you AI stuff, a place where you can sign up for, it's free here. This is where I put all the videos and stuff about meetings. So this is called School. It's kind of a platform for putting this kind of stuff on. And if you haven't signed up for it yet, please do, because in the classroom area, for example, this is where I've been putting like the meetings and stuff, like all the different meetings go in here, like the last meeting right there. But you can just click on and watch it if you want to. So if you want to binge on all this stuff, you can. And other things, I'm putting the best videos about AI I can find on YouTube on here as well. Okay, so that's going to be lots and lots of content there if you want to check it out, right? So it's a good place to go to sign up. So no fee for that or anything, of course. So let me tell you a few things that you might want to know about. Have you heard about Pulse, like ChatGPT Pulse? That's an interesting thing. So what, basically, let's see now. It seems like it should be set up already. Now let's see what's happening. Yeah, okay. So Pulse is kind of interesting because it's pushing information to you. It's saying, this is what I would like to know about and find out about. And it is, every morning it sends me like a curated output about different things on there. So I said, I want to know about getting speaking engagements, about being on a podcast, designing AI client funnels or sales funnels. So let's see what it's talking about the sales funnel here. Yeah. So I don't know. That looks really weird. I don't know if that's a good one, but anyway, but you can check that one out. It's called Pulse on ChatGPT. You might want to check it out. The most useful thing that I use ChatGPT for really is my GPT. So I'm just going to show you that. So let me see. Like one of the ones that's very handy is YouTube Description Maker. Okay, so So let's say I've done a YouTube video. This is why I say like I'm using it for almost everything, because I do a YouTube video. Let me just go find one of my YouTube videos. This one about the AI agent going rogue here. Let me just stop that. And I can get the summary here. And I copy that. And I go back to ChatGPT. I've just set up this is like an automated AI. Let's call it GPT, right? So I put there we go. So I put the script in. It already knows how to do this. It says, I'm going to give you the script. I want you to write the description to put with the video on YouTube. So what it does is it reads the script, and it's like, how quick is this, right? So it says, this is my title. My AI went rogue, just what I was talking about. There's the information, even with the hashtags at the bottom. And then if you go back here, you can see that that's what happened down here. That information there is what it was created by the AI. So that used to take me like half an hour to an hour to do. And now it's, how fast was that, right? So that saved me a ton of time and actually does a way better job than I could ever done. Like it's, because what I did with the GPT was I trained it on how to make a really good description of a YouTube video, right? And so the AI is making the transcript. I'm taking the transcript, sticking it into ChatGPT that's been trained on this particular task, and then it gives me this description, and I put it back into YouTube. And so Bob's your uncle there. Okay, so what you might want to look at more, if you haven't already, are GPTs. They have all these ones that are already built for you, but if you can make your own, like it says create there, and these are all the ones that I've created. So even like take the transcript of, here we go, let's watch this. So I take that same transcript, and now I'm going to make an article to go on Substack. So it's going to write that article. Now, if that one's going to take a little while, because it's going to think about it, what's the best one? Maybe we'll come back to that one later. But what it's doing is it's thinking, what would be the best thing? And what I did there was I trained that GPT on a number of YouTube videos that talk about how to write a really good Substack article. So I went on YouTube, said, okay, here's some videos about how to write a really effective YouTube video. I trained this GPT on that, and then I take the transcript of the video, plug it in there, and it's using that training to write this article now, right? And so, you know, I'll probably edit it, but it allows me to create more content. And just bear in mind, I'm not just asking it to write me something. I've actually done this whole video about it, right? So I've created the content. I'm just asking it to format it in different ways to help me put it out onto social media and so on. Are there any questions about that? Anything you'd like to know about that kind of thing? That anyone using a GPT themselves that they're finding useful? Going once, going twice?
I can jump in. I came a little late.
Yeah.
But if I'm picking up where everyone was responding about the percentage of usage, I can't give a specific percent, but I am trying to use it much more. Yeah. And what I've noticed is that, you know, rather than just conversational, that's just like a souped up, you know, search bar. Yeah. And, you know, reading a book that kind of gave me the insight on giving it context, giving it a role, asking it to interview me, and then asking it to perform a task gave me much greater output than I was just basically like, you know, how do you make soup or something like along those lines. I also was curious just because there are many competitors out there, and I asked it to give me the major differences or strengths that the different LLM providers are offering. Yeah. And, you know, ChatGPT is more on creative writing, productivity, or versatility. Gemini is logic, math. Claude is more research, compliance, and safety. Perplexity is factual accuracy, real-time web search. And then there's Llama, which is the meta version, and it's, I think, open source accessibility. So that was just an interesting thing about how different companies are trying to, I guess, focus themselves to separate from, I know ChatGPT is just kind of the universal, right? So interesting to use different AIs for different reasons. If, you know, again, from a factual standpoint, you mentioned your wife's being a physician and what she would prioritize over, you know, a generic conversational, like, you know, a ChatGPT or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just where I don't want to do is pay $20 for all of these, much like a streaming service where it's just kind of like get underwater, you know, for what. So keeping one at its free, hopefully, you know, for the foreseeable future, but utilizing some that you might want to make an investment in for your personal.
Yeah, well, that's
business.
a good point, because you know, they are kind of they do have personalities in some level, you know, and so you start to realize, okay, well, they have different strengths, each one of them. They're not all the same. So that's going to be part of navigating all this, is like which one's the best tool for what, right? Like,
yeah.
So Google's new model that they came out with, I think Gemini 3, is considered to be the best one now.
Right, and I'm sure that's going to change more times over.
Well, it'll keep getting leapfrog, right?
Right.
But right now, it's saying it's the best one, so that's what they're saying.
I was. Go ahead.
Well, we just wanted to show you a couple of things that. Well, one. Okay, here I'll Google. Actually, I'm going to change it to this one. This is really interesting. What it's been able to. I've been able to create a few YouTube videos using this NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is a Google product. If you're not using it, you should. Like, it's free, so you might as well. It does unbelievable things. So I think I've shown you the ones where it does a podcast, which is kind of interesting. So what I did was I had ChatGPT do some research on futurism, because I'm kind of dabbling in that, right? Like I don't know if I would call myself a futurist, because I'm not formally trained as one, but I wanted to learn about, well, what is futurism all about, and what is the mindset of a futurist, like somebody like Alvin Toffler was, you know? So it went through and it wrote this whole article about it. So I put that article into NotebookLM, and then I created a little video with it. We'll just run that. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but you can take a look at it here. See if it'll say anything. Getting any sound at all? Getting any sound?
I got nothing.
Not hearing anything either. Not sure why I'm not getting any sound. Maybe it's something to do with YouTube. But basically, what you can do with this is it will take your content, whatever you came up with, and it'll make a video for you, right? And they're really, really good. Like I had some do it on my different books that I've written, right? And so if I go to YouTube here, I can show you. I put a few of those on there. My channel here. Yeah, like right here, AI wake up call. So that was like one. It's not playing any sound right now coming out of my system. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it has a voiceover as well, and it's just basically takes your content and does a whole slideshow about it, and so it's kind of an interesting thing to play around with. So if you've got something you've written, or even something someone else has written, you can put it into NotebookLM, and then it will make this show for you with a voiceover, which I can't get to work right now. I don't know why that's not happening, but
Bill, I just wanted to jump in. What's interesting about NotebookLM, you shared that with us a week or two ago, and I've gone all in on it too. And the ability to just keep dumping information in there. Again, you and I have talked about and built up this packaging niche for packaging manufacturers. So every piece of content, including these Fathom interviews, YouTube videos you can drop in there, PDFs, and I literally have one massive that's got close to 90 sources of content. Now, it's helping me to just kind of dump this stuff in one place. And it can help me kind of keep, so I don't have to think about this stuff, and I can just keep building up this massive, and I can keep switching stuff around. However, to your point, you can get it to, whether it's a podcast or a video or a business plan. There's just a ton of different things you can do with it, but it is and it's free. It's on your Google plan, and it's a machine, man. Totally different than what else I have found that's out there.
Yeah, it seems to me that Google is really getting its act together right now, and it's like starting to really go figuring out how to monetize all this and everything. Like to your point, like here, I put all my books in here that I've written, and I had it just create a avatar, basically. You can set this up so that people can come on and access this information through a chatbot, and they could just I'm just getting it set up now, like the formatting of it, but I'll have it on my website. People will be able to go there and ask anything they want about my books and all that, and just any question, and it will answer those questions directly. So this idea of these interactive avatars is something that's going to be big. So my objective right now is just to gather up all my knowledge that I've put out there into one place, in this case here, and have that available. And then I can go in and pick one and make a video about beyond basketball. So I wanted to write one about that or something. You can do a video or a podcast about that. Like, it's really, and the thing is too, this is version like 2 of this, right? So think about version 10 is going to look like. It's going to be mind blowing. And there's going to be a certain point where everyone is going to have to learn this, because it's just going to be so dramatically important for everyone to do. Because if you're not using it, you're not even going to be in business. So every business, some businesses made a transformation because of the internet and everything. I think in this case, every business will. I don't think there can be anybody that will be like, oh, I don't have to do that. Even somebody that just like the plumber, right? They can say, well, the plumber doesn't have to use AI. And I'm going, no, I'd rather hire a plumber that uses AI myself, probably.
Bill, you can, and what's cool is you can also just individually dial in. Of course, we talked about that big brain dump, but the other thing is I interviewed a guy or potential customer last week in a very hyper niche area of packaging. And so I took the Fathom interview, I dropped it into I made an own notebook for this.
Yeah.
Then I took some information about that subject, and it made that podcast about the client, meaning the guy. And again, you want to talk about a feel good sort of, and this is a very high end, not me. Somebody even said, was that your wife? Who was the woman on this? And it was like, whoa,
really high end,
big time. It's crazy.
The quality of it's fantastic. Like I did one of those videos of my book, New Factory Thinker. Okay. And it just blew my mind when it came back. It actually explained the theory of new factory thinking better than I can. Okay. Like, honestly, I invented it, but it's explaining better. And I showed it to my wife, and she said, I don't know if you're going to like this, what I'm going to say, but it actually does explain it better than you. And I go, that's fine. That's the point, right? That's good. I'm not insulted. Like, it's kind of flattering, really. Right. So it can take your content and explain it maybe better than you. That's got to be a good thing, right? That's what you want. You want people to understand it. Now, let me show you the agent thing for those of you that are just new to that. So this is Lindy. This is the agent builder. Okay. And I've yet to find one else that's as good, but there might be. But there are other agent builders, like ChatGPT has an agent builder now, which I toyed with, but then I realized, okay, it still requires you to be a worker bee programmer, because otherwise you couldn't really build them. But in this case, they no, you don't need to do that. Just tell me what you want and I'll build it. So it's, how can I help you build an agent to perform a task, right? So you could just go in there and say, I'd like to build this kind of agent, right? It does have these different ones like LinkedIn Outreach. I might check that one out because that's something I'd like to do too. But they're connecting to Nano Banana. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but we'll see later. Let me get out of there for a minute. So these are my agents that I created. And the one that's really good right now is Prospect Research Agent right here. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for prospects to put into to send an email and say, hey, you should come to this network group. That's the message, right? And so what the agent's been doing is looking for, it actually says turned off. So maybe I'll go back and turn it on here in just a second. Yeah, I'll go back here again. And so I built the agent. Now the agent looks like this. You just want to see. It's a very simple one. Just has one thing to do. So the message received is I say to, find me 20 prospects. Okay. And then the agent is set up here with all these different tools. If I just click on that, to search for members of these organizations here, because those are organizations that have the kind of prospects that I like. So it's just saying if they belong to that group, find them for me, right? It's not going into those networks and digging through their database or anything, but it's like if it shows up on LinkedIn or something that they're a member of that network, that sounds like they might be a good prospect for our business, right? So what it does is it goes in there and then it puts it into this database of Google Sheets or a spreadsheet, and it puts it all in there. So last week, let me go back here again. It looked for prospects for me. Let's see if I can get the history. This one here. Yeah. So basically, it went and found these people with their email addresses. Okay, like this is crazy. So that's what I'm saying. Like it found these people. So what's going to happen is another agent that I have, well, this week will go in and send a message to each one of these folks and invite them to join this network. That's the message. And so it's working really well. So it's like out of every 20 messages, we get one person in. Okay. Which I think is pretty good. And, that just creates more people in the network for helping all of us. Right. So this idea that it can search for prospects is amazing. And so I had to be very careful, like, very clear about what I wanted. And so I'm like, if you find me a prospect, you got to find their email. Like that's in my mind, a holy grail right there. Like, you can go on LinkedIn all day long and find them. You're not going to get their email, but somehow this has found them, right? It found them in one place that they were a member of these networks, and then it found another place where it found their email, and it put those things together for me. And then another agent then sends out the message to them. It's all automated there. So that's pretty neat. So that's just one of the things that you could use this for. Many, many others.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
As you continue to use this and automate these tools, speaking on your behalf, and I can clearly recognize somebody who has provided me an artificial intelligent message versus a personal message, right? I mean, do you ever get concerned about the authenticity of, I guess, and also like, if we all sound the same, then there's no differentiation. So
right. Well, I'm not having it write the message. I wrote the message, and it's, it is a sort of a standard message. But the next thing I want to do is have it set up that it will research the person more and then find out something about them that it will say, hey, by the way, I mean, it would be better if I did it myself. There's no doubt about it. Right? Like if I wrote the message every time, and I'm just not going to do that. Like I don't have the time, right?
No, and I totally get it. I'm just thinking like,
but I think you're right. Like that's why I got to be careful about that, right? You're no doubt about it.
Yeah, like you win the appointment or something like that, and then all of a sudden you sound like,
right. So it's an experiment right now. I may find that this is not a good thing. It might be bad for my business in the end, but it is interesting to find people, right, and say, yeah, there's some people there.
No, that's huge. Yeah.
Like that's it's a step in some direction anyway, right? Now there's another one here. Oh yeah, this one that you might want to check out. It's called Apollo, and it's also kind of agentic, but basically it will look for prospects for you too. So if you want to do some prospecting, right, and email prospecting, check out Apollo. So what I had to do was I just put the same criteria I was using with Lindy, and I said, find me, entrepreneurs, basically, right? Certain entrepreneurs. They got to be a founder or something. And it found these people. So I just did 10. I just wanted to try it. And what it did was it does send out, let me see here, the emails. So the emails went out, and I was just 10. And the email was the thing. Do you want to learn more about AI and how to apply it in your business? A group of entrepreneurs, myself, created an AI learning group and so on. So that's my message. It didn't write that. I wrote it. And it sent that message out. Now, I just sent it out to 10. I got one reply. She's kind of interested in Marita. But it was just a test, right? But it's kind of interesting, like I'm not a believer in sending out 5 million emails or something. Like that's never been a kind of thing. But if it can get more and more specific about who you're trying to go for and be more and more targeted, I think that's a good thing, and it could be just find the prospect and then you look at it and send your own email. You could do it that way, right? But it's got to be a step in the right direction for something. But now, that being said, we don't want to have a world where we're getting inundated with emails from AI bots either, right? But I think it's just a way for people to connect with each other. So it's still a work in progress, but it's kind of interesting. The other thing is, let's see, here we go. Okay, so this is called Lovable, which I did maybe show before. But the other thing that more and more, and I think during that AI Super Week in January, is that's I'm going to be using this tool a lot. Okay, because basically you can create any kind of app using this. Okay, just by asking it to create an app for you, and then it creates the app. You take a look at the app, and you can refine it as you go. So the one that I've built so far, it's called saying errors there, but anyway, Big Idea Advisor Network. So this is another network that I'm working on building, and it's for financial advisors. And basically, I just asked it to create it. Like this is all this dialogue here on the left is dialogue around creating this app, which has a home screen, right? There's a video there that I did. They register, they click on, see if it goes there. Yeah, then we have the onboarding. The next one, I won't fill it in because that would be too time consuming. But if you go to the next one, there's actually an AI chatbot there that talks to the person and says, tell me more about you, and it will chat with them. And all that information that it's getting from them, it puts into a database. And that's the point, really, ultimately, because then I can look at that database and realize, okay, well, this is really good because I know who I'm dealing with here. I know the people that are coming on. It asks them, like, what are your biggest issues? What are your big challenges? What are your biggest opportunities? How long you've been in business for? What's your market? And so on. If they want to share that information, and it ends up in a database. So that's kind of an interesting thing too, is to be able to gather that kind of information, just to be able to turn around and help them. One thing I did with that speaker network was I had I think it was actually, it was ChatGPT. I had it analyze the that data on the people in the network, and it came back with a whole report. So out of the 700 people, 50% in the United States, 30% in Canada, 5% in the UK, 60% of them talk about leadership and so on. The average, the different breakdown of how long they've been speaking for and all that stuff. It gave a complete analysis of the entire network, which then I sent out to the network and said, here, this is what our network looks like. That was pretty cool. Right. Another one that I'm having a lot of fun with is called Napkin. Okay. A napkin. So this is kind of blew my mind too. So what I did was, before this meeting, that screen I showed you about digital transformation, right? So I used Whisper to, I just didn't have to type this up. I just said taxi companies replaced by Uber, department stores replaced by Amazon, right? And then I clicked on that little lightning bolt, and it generated this graphic here, which is getting blocked out because it's too big. But it generated that whole graphic for me like that, right? Very cool. And then I said today's agenda. I clicked on the little lightning bolt, and it made the, and let's see if I click on it again, what will happen? Maybe it'll make another one. There you go. So you can take a bunch of data and it will make some kind of a, yeah, there we go. So you could pick that one. Process, maybe, see what happens if I do that. Taking its time on that one. There we go. Let's use that one there. If I click on that one. Oh. Put in? Yeah, there we go. So so you can take information, like if you want to create some good graphics for like a PowerPoint or something, you can use this to create those charts. Hello? Somebody? Somebody's unmuted there. Anyway, so that's a pretty interesting one that you might want to play around with. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many things here, but
Bill, using that one, let me tell you a circumstance, and it happened to me yesterday. On the phone with somebody, who's the decision maker, but unfortunately there were a couple of non-decision makers that were trying to move him around and where his head should go. And at the end of the day, 20-minute conversation, is quite clear he was confused. The first thing that came to my mind after we hung up is I would have loved to send him a video with a couple of pictures and then walk him through and only send it to him. And I would have gotten a phone call back 10 minutes later saying, no, I understood all that and I don't want to do the deal.
Yeah.
Or, gee whiz, that's not the way I understood it because there was too many people telling me what to do. What tools would you use to do that?
Well, that's where that NotebookLM might be good, right? Like basically what I would do in that case, I would say, like you can make a video, like YouTube video if you want, right? Okay, fine. But if you wanted to do an explainer video, which is what that NotebookLM, they call those things, is you get a Word file, use WhisperFlow, okay? So just start talking, like just do a brain dump. Don't worry about the order of it. Just put it into WhisperFlow, use WhisperFlow to talk it through. Just say everything I want to tell this guy, okay? And then maybe you go to ChatGPT and just say, just clean this up for me, right? Turn it into like a nice narrative. Then you go into NotebookLM and you use that document to make an explainer video. Like that'd be a good little project to do anyway. Just do as a test, right? Say, okay, well, I'm gonna walk somebody through my typical deal, right? This is what my real estate investment deal looks like. Talk that through, right? So you don't have to type it up because you might not want to do that, but you could use WhisperFlow just to dictate it. Have ChatGPT clean it up, take it into NotebookLM, get it to an explainer video. And like I say, it'll probably explain it better than you can. Because I think what's happening is it goes in there and it's trying to figure it out, right? It's doing some hard work to figure what is Ricky trying to say, right? Oh, he's trying to say this, and then it explains it. And then you send him that.
I send that to my wife once in a while.
You can do that too. Might be good. Trying to explain yourself to your wife, right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Interesting use case. That's a good one. Vice versa too. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a good example of could be a very helpful thing. Like you want to be able to explain yourself well. So, you could say AI is creating all this slop, or it's saying, no, I'm creating the slop and I want it to clean it up. Bring some order to it. Kind of interesting. I mean, one of the things I've learned about AI,
clean it up as well.
It'll clean it up. Yeah, it will. It'll try to put it into some make some sense of it, right? So one of the things that's very different now is that it used to be if you wanted to crunch some data, you really had to clean up the data before you'd crunch it, right? That was a big business. Now you just say, here's just my big whack of mess, and it will go through it and take out good from the bad and organize it for you and give you the best from it. See, that's something that people are missing. They think, oh, I go on there, I ask it a question, it's hallucinating, it's coming up with all this nonsense. Like, I don't use it for that at all. I hardly ever use it for that. I use it to take what I'm trying to say and clean it up, and the data that I've been gathering, and clean it up and give me something useful from it. That's like the opposite of that, right? I'm giving it garbage in, gem out. Like that's the difference. It used to be garbage in, garbage out. I don't think it's that way anymore. It's like a recycling place where they're sorting through all this garbage, and then they keep picking out the odd valuable thing that somebody threw in the recycling bin. That's what it's doing. Sorting through it. One of the things that as I was circle back to the very beginning of this conversation about the AI agent going rogue, and what's going to be that AI transformation. It's the fact is that each step of a process, you can insert an AI that does thinking, advanced thinking about that particular step. And then you do something, and then it does something. Like, but you have this process where the steps, there's all this advanced thinking going on and decision making going on. Like, it's really going to be that I did this workshop for University of Saskatchewan about AI and corporate governance, and I started off by saying, within 5 years, you're going to have an AI on your board of directors. Like, you're going to have to, because it'll be like compliance to do, because it's going to have an IQ, like sort of equivalent IQ. I don't know if it's really the same kind of IQ, but like, it'll be like an IQ of 15,000. It'll know everything. It'll have way more knowledge that you could ever know. And, if you don't have that on your board, giving at least some input, then you'd be delinquent. Like, there's no way. Like, how come you don't have an AI on your board? Like, or the CEO, or, because it's going to be so powerful. But right now, it's just like, you look at your business and go, well, one, how can I automate it? Like, if I go back here to the model, let me just show you that. I got to change around. Yeah, Doug, you want to say something?
Yeah, along that line, I wrote a book, 2030 with Dr. Harvey Castro. And, one thing is a theme about, like, for healthcare is, what 5 things should you be doing to maximize your health? How many of them are you actually doing? But for business, leveraging AI to do the same thing is what are 5 things I should be doing today that I'm not doing?
Yeah.
And letting AI, help maximize your thinking to say, okay, there's hundreds of things I could be doing. What are the top 5 things should I be thinking about today? And am I missing something that's important that I'm not doing?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I have a little exercise that we've done in our workshops before, where there's 3 quadrants to it, 3 parts to it. So one is, what should I do new that I've been doing before? What should I stop doing, and what should I do more of? Right, that I already do. And right, and AI could be really, and then say, well, it could help in all those areas, right?
Right. And sometimes, like it's like, well, go take a walk, right? Go, because sometimes you got to balance, not burning out. And so it's not always just do. It's kind of like, what is your how do you optimize your life, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So that's why the model that we have here for AI transformation, we think is pretty good right now. So at the heart of it is the big idea, which is lots of ways you can think about that, like a big idea for your clients or something, or a big idea for your life, right? But it's also about, like, what do I want to become? It's like, there's something in the future that better and different than I'm going to become. So you're imagining that. And then you're saying, okay, well, now to get there, what can I automate with AI to help me, save time mostly, and then innovate, which is, well, what can I do new that would be really helpful for myself and or my clients, And then the humanate part, though, is kind of the prize in the end. It's like, well, how is that going to make my life better and other people's lives better? How is it going to create wellness, right? Because I can see that this AI stuff is going to create a lot of unwellness out there. There's no doubt about it, because people are going to go, it's already causing problems for lots of people, right? So unless we use it wisely and have some kind of model to work from, I think it's going to be a net negative, really. So it's a tool, right? You can use it, then every tool can be dangerous in the wrong hands. So Mark, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you. I just light bulb just went off for this session. I thank you for that.
Yeah.
And because the question I was going to ask, which you kind of got into, was for someone new like myself, this is just 100% completely overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And you see now marketing, advertising on social media to say, in 28 days, become an AI expert, at just 15 minutes a day. And then they give you 28 AI applications that you're supposed to spend 15 minutes on. And I don't think you can learn anything in 15 minutes with AI.
Right.
But anyway, I think that's where the opportunity lies, where it's say, okay, what are the 3 or the 5 essential tools with a workflow or a roadmap to say, and you just provided it, 1, dictate to WhisperFlow. 2, get ChatGPT to clean that up. 3, use Notebook to create a presentation. That's the information that I'm looking for, and then I think a lot of other people would really find valuable to really get their businesses and their ideas off the ground.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of like this format, right? Because we're all putting our 2 cents in, and we never know what we're going to learn from people, right? And all I'm trying to do is get people to move up the scale on our index there, like most of it from 1 to 10. 1 being kind of beginner. Most of the people that I've been talking to are like around a 3 or 4 at best. And we need to be more like 6 or 7 or 8, right? And really, it's just about trying stuff out, and I find that every time I use it, I just learn more about it. And what really has happened now is I see how they all fit together. Like I can move from one to the other. Like it's just like a fish in water, really, at this point. I find it very exciting to get to that point, but it took a lot. It took a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of work. It was like every time I used it, I saved time. So I don't know if you call that work, really, actually, in the end. And you go, oh, that's a good result, or no, that's a bad result. Okay, why was it a bad result? Oh, okay, was it my prompt, or maybe it's the wrong tool, or whatever, right? Well, I know what I think. I suggest people don't become as a cheerleader for all this either. Like I think that's kind of where some people just get way. When I watch on YouTube and stuff, and they're just too much a cheerleader, I can't watch them. If you have a more balanced approach to it, you're going to be okay. Like you're going to say, yeah. I know you're trying to sell me something here, but some of it's good, some of it's bad. Sometimes I shouldn't use AI. I should do my own work, right? Yeah, there's gonna be some things that you should do yourself, but you could free up your time so you have time to do that.
Yeah, there's just so much out there. It's like, where do you start? I guess you just pick one, and if you like it, great. If you don't, move on and try something else.
There's people they're really scared of AI and they're just not touching it. They go, okay, well, 100 years ago, mostly women, I guess, were washing their clothes by hand. It took all day. And then somebody invented the washing machine and the dryer, and it really helped liberate people, right? And let's go, maybe this is the same thing. It's like, okay, we're doing all these tasks that we think, oh, I don't want to give it up because then what will I do? Well, we don't know what you'll do, but you don't have to do all these grungy things. Then all of a sudden you're freed up to realize, oh, I want to do this. There will be no jobs. I completely don't believe that. Right? I think there'll be a lot of lost jobs initially, which we're going to have to sort out that. But people are very good at figuring out new things to do.
Yeah, it's expected. The question is, in the next 5 years, will there be more software developers? Will there be more truck drivers? And will there be more doctors? with AI or without, and because of AI. And I believe in all three cases we're going to have more, not less. Now the jobs are going to change, but like even truck drivers or drivers in general, you're going to have mandates for safety drivers in the vehicle. You're going to have remote truck drivers. I think the jobs will actually get better because of AI.
Well,
yeah, well,
So,
they can
so
do
I would
more,
make
maybe they
that
get
bet
paid
in the
more.
next 5 years. Will there be more or less of those three types of jobs?
I'd like to weigh in a little bit on the truck drivers in Texas, because there's a company called Aurora that is trying to totally automate only certain routes where they're only in certain lanes at certain times of the day to avoid accidents. But if you talk to the truck drivers and the unions, this is ubiquitous. There's massive fear because they don't understand they will be able to do something totally new. And what they're doing now is, I mean, if a robot can do it, then, I mean, humans should do something else. But what they're doing now with the drivers, they have totally automated vehicles. Now they're saying, we want a human to ride along with the automated vehicle to police it, which is, in my view, totally ridiculous. It defeats the whole point. But you have this protectionism going on, and that's always been the case with new technology. People fear it, and they get over it.
Yeah, well, I'm on the automated vehicle task force of the Department of Transportation for Texas, and so Aurora's on that, Waymo, Tesla, and others. And so, there's a lot of things a truck driver can do, in the cab, while they're, while they're kind of checking to make sure if anything goes bad. There's also remote connectivity as well. So the truck driving is a horrible job. If you're limited to 60 hours a week. If you're trying to drop off a load and all of a sudden your time, you have 11 hours of time to drive in the day. And if you go past your time, you may be stuck over the weekend until your time gets reset. From a work-life balance is horrible. So if you can show, I think one of the ways to communicate is saying, hey, this is not a bad thing for you. This is a really good thing because, what are the top 5 things that you hate about being a truck driver, and how can AI help with that? And like I said, I believe, if you mandate that you have safety drivers either in the cab or remotely, so rather than having to be, driving around, and being isolated from your family and friends, you're able to remotely into the cab, and then you have a life. So personally, I think it's going to really help your life. That's my personal belief, and I think it's just a way to communicate that.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of a hurdle. I mean, I remember when they came out with there was the ATM. People didn't want to use that, but then they also had like the ticket, the ATM for a ticket at a movie theater, right? And I remember I went to this movie. It was the Truman Show, which is kind of interesting in itself in a way. But I went to the movie with my mother, and there was this huge lineup. And I didn't want her. She was getting older. I wanted to stand there the whole time. And I saw, oh, there's that machine over there. And no one was using it. It was fascinating. I went over there and I just got my ticket, and we just walked right in. And all these people standing there in line. And they saw me do it, and they still didn't go and use it. Right? So that's kind of how we're with AI right now. There's some early adopters that are just walking to the front of the line because we're just go and use the machine, and here we go. And then other people are still doing the old way, and they're seeing it going on, but they still won't go over there. Now at the theater in my neighborhood, they don't even have a person. You have to use the machine. Like there are no people at the front. You just use the machine. That's it. So we get used to these things eventually. So yeah, so that's my advice, is that you keep trying to find things to use it for. So I did that humanate thing. It's very important. I go, how can this make my life better for myself? Like how not give me more to do or, fill my mind with nonsense. It's like, how can this make my life better? And I think it's working because I've made that the objective, work less, make more money, have more fun doing your work, right? And create a higher level of value for the world in less time. Like that's got to be a good thing for most of us who are entrepreneurs, right? You want to be able to do that. The AI Super Week, I just want to give you the right date here, just so you can note it down if you want, is the week of January 12th. So that whole week, I'm just going to spend researching AI and working on my big idea for AI. I called my project 2030. So what I'm trying to do is create a fully autonomous AI business by 2030. And it's not my existing business. It might have elements of that, but it's going to be a completely different kind of business. That's what I'm trying to work out, is what is that? And I'm aiming for 2030 to say this business will run itself using AI. And that's the goal I've set. And it's very interesting because the more I work on that, when I have time to work on that, I learn the most about AI from that. And I have ChatGPT mostly helping me figure out what that business will be. And it could be, and one thing I've been thinking about with that is that it could be a business that keeps changing what it does continuously. That it doesn't actually have one particular thing it does, except it's just always trying to create value in the world. So it may be the thing where it is one day it's making cars and the next day it's making television sets. That could be the kind of business that it would be. But if you want to tune in that week, we'll be having these meetings every day from 11 to 12:30. And if what I suggest you might do, if you want to participate in it, is to come up with your idea for, or at least say, I want to figure out an idea for this by 2030 business. What's the AI version of my business? So you might have heard me talk before about old factory, new factory. So you say, well, everything I'm doing right now is the old factory, and I can use that to AI to help me with that, right? It's like you're running a hot dog stand and you go, I'm going to use AI to automate the hot dog stand and maybe figure out how to make a better hot dog and all that. But I'm going to create a new factory. It's like a gourmet restaurant. And I'm going to say, what's that look like in the age of AI? If I have like you say, well, if I had a taxi company, boy, it would have been good if I put my mind to spent a week, like to think about it back in the day. You were a taxi company, say, let's just take a whole week off this taxi thing and figure out the future of taxis. You might have invented Uber and have 50 billion bucks in your pocket or something, right? Or if you had a hotel, you said, let's take a week off and just think about the future. And then we invented Airbnb, right? Like, so you guys spent that week inventing Airbnb, or you could spend that week figuring out, how to save money on pillowcases for the hotel. That's what most people are doing, right? Or how can we automate the hotel so that we'll have an AI receptionist? Well, that'd be fine, I guess, but invented Airbnb.
Bill, can I give an example of sort of that out of the box thinking, which is in Amazon? They bought this company that is robot, like in the warehouse. It used to be the person would have to go to all the bins to get the right supplies, go to 10 bin. They said, why don't we have each bin go to the central place? So he reversed the whole thing. That's all it was. Basically, have the robot go to the person.
How does it work then? So the bin goes to a central spot and the people come to the bin?
No. Well, if you say, I want 10 things, the picker used to have to go to 10 places.
Right.
A robot in each of those 10 places, and it says they want this person wants these 10 things. The robot finds that person, delivers them the 10 things. So instead of going out, and there's videos of this, but the guy, he's from Woburn, Mass, and I was in the next town over, but he gave a talk, and all he said was, think about these problems, not from, just as you were saying, not from the ground up, but totally in a new way. So, the GPS and the cell phone created,
Uber.
And who would think to put those together? That's the out of the box you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've spoken to a lot of different industries about AI, and before I do, I always think about, well, if you took a these different technologies and put them together, what would that industry look like, right? And it always freaks them out. Like I was talking to insurance people, property and casualty insurance, right? And I said, well, maybe it'll look like this. You'd have a building that you're going to be insured. The building is an AI autonomous building, and you insure it based on how compliant the owners are to what the AI is saying. So the fact that it even has an AI running it probably brings down your premium, but the premium could be fluctuating by the minute based on what the AI is determining as the risk factors of the building, right? Based on weather and based on what the people are doing to maintain the building and everything. So the AI is basically, if you do this, owner, to the building, your premium is going to go down. If you don't do this, it's going to go up. So the people in the building are dancing to the tune of the insurance agent, who is an AI, right? They're going. I said, because you're in the risk management business, right? That's what you are. And they were like, I don't know how to do that. I said, no, maybe you don't, but somebody will figure it out, right? It's not that complicated, actually. It's usually what happens. These transformations happen when all different technologies, somebody figures out how to combine a bunch of different technologies together into a new way of doing something, right? There's a book I read. It's really good. It was called How We Got Here or something. And it was about inventions and how one invention led to another, what's led to another. Really interesting. Oh, yeah. It was like when they invented the printing press, Gutenberg printing press, and people started reading. And then people started realizing that they couldn't read because their eyesight wasn't very good. And that spurred the development of lenses for glasses so they could read. And those lenses then became microscopes and telescopes, which then created all these other things. So Gutenberg, being able to print books, caused these other things, which would have made it happen already. But anyway, it was this that these things, one led to the other. So I think we're going to see a lot of that, and really fast too. Really, really fast. Okay. So anyway, thanks for coming today. We're going to have one more meeting before Christmas time. I forget the date. Sorry, I should have had that handy, but it'll be before Christmas. And then we're going to have, after that, January 12th, the Super Week. So think about what your Project 2030 might be. Could be interesting. Any last thoughts? Anybody have anything they want to
I'd like to say one thing about technology. I saw this commercial for a roofer who has drones. He'll take detailed measurements of any roof in the country, and he has a network of roofers local. So it's local using global technology. But this is literally, you say I'm on Main Street, Anytown, USA, or even Mechanic Park, maybe. They'll go take exact measurements with drones and then give you the quote and get the guy to show up who's in your next town. It's unbelievable.
Wow. So that's combining using the drone technology as part of their value proposition.
Yeah, plus the ability to basically monopolize the roofing industry if he really wants to.
Yeah, he could, right? Because he's got all the data.
Yeah, Meineke minus, he'll know everything about every roof in the country if he wants to.
I had a client who was in pond management to help people manage their ponds. And I told her you could literally have, what she does is, that was the point. What she does is she has people ask her to help them with their pond. She sends a drone out and it goes and investigates the pond, actually goes down, picks up some water from the pond and flies back to her lab. And then she analyzes the water in the pond and then tells them, and that she hasn't even charged them anything. It's just, this is part of the proposal stage. It's wild. I think drones, there are going to be a lot of drones out there. I think too many, maybe. Watch out for all the drones. Anyway, good one. Okay, so anyone else? Just one last word.
First time being here, so I just enjoyed it, and I think I'm looking forward to hearing everyone else's experience and suggestions.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody got at least one tip from it. That's all you need, really, and it'll help you to move it up the scale. Okay, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Guys left.
Thank you.
All right,
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.